It's been a minute since I uploaded any video on this channel, and like today what I'm about to tell you is that basically if you get this one thing right, it's really an art, because if you get this one thing right, like today in your workout session, if you're going to the gym today, please make sure that you watch this video in its entirety so that you get this one thing right, which is if you get it right, you're gonna build so much more muscle in the upcoming months of your lifting career. And the thing might be, you might have guessed, which is basically mind muscle connection, right? And mind muscle connection is really an art, right? The reason I call it an art, because the more you practice it, the better you become at it, right? And there are many like studies that has been done when it comes to mind muscle connection, and some of the studies have produced certain good results, right? If you do mind muscle connection, like internally focusing on mind muscle connection, which I'm going to explain in this video, what I'm talking about. But if you internally focus on mind muscle connection, you have an amazing results. But then again, there are some studies which, even if you focus internally on your mind muscle connection, there isn't so much of a good results, right? And I'm going to break all of that down, right? Like why some studies show extremely good results when it comes to mind muscle connection, but why some studies show not so good results when it comes to mind muscle connection, and how to use mind muscle connection to your benefit, right? Everything I'm going to break down in this video. I'm going to get straight to the point and give you actual actionable steps so that you can get mind muscle connection today in the gym, as you're working whatever muscle you're supposed to work out. So the thing is, let's talk about the two secondary, basically you can say not so important, like we can argue it is important, but not as important as the last point that I'm going to tell you, right? So exercise selection, right? Now I don't know what those exercises are called, overhead dumbbell extension, maybe something like that. Those are some of the exercises that I really don't feel on my triceps, right? So what I'm telling is, exercise selection really matters, right? A particular exercise that works amazingly for me doesn't have to work amazingly for you, right? I have seen so many people having amazing results with all of those, dumbbell extensions, right? Like overhead presses, something like that. But I don't feel it. Like I feel a little bit tweak on my shoulders, right? So I don't feel that exercise. I don't feel that mind muscle connection. I feel amazing with skull crushers, right? Maybe dumbbell skull crushers, maybe barbell skull crushers, and then push downs or rope push downs, maybe barbell push downs, whatever that is. Yeah, I feel amazing on those exercises, but for some reason I cannot really feel my tricep activate on those overhead dumbbell extensions, something like that. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, exercise selection is really important. What exercise works for me doesn't have to, work for you, but there are some, key go-to exercises that everyone needs to follow. Right. So this is point number one. Pick an exercise, that you could do with proper technique and form, and you feel your muscles are destroyed, like completely, when you perform those exercises with picture perfect form, right? So that's point number one. Point number two is really picture perfect form, right? You cannot really feel that muscle being extended and contracted, if you do it with the wrong form, right? Basically, what wrong form, signifies as is if you are, performing an exercise and you're also engaging all of the other adjacent muscles that you're not supposed to engage, right? So if you're, performing chest exercises with the wrong form, how do you know it? You know it if you feel, a little bit too much on your shoulder, right? Your front delt, your mid delt is fatigued after you have performed a chest exercise, right? That's the telltale sign that you are having a really shitty form, right? If you have an amazing form, you will only feel in the in the muscle that you are hoping on targeting it, right? So that's the way to basically know if you're having a wrong form or not. But then again, this is the second point, which is you have to have that picture perfect form in at least at the beginning of the exercise, right? I think I've told you that you can basically cheat a little bit at the end of the exercise, right? You can go beyond failure. That's how you train really fucking hard. But at the beginning of the exercise, try to keep the form as picture perfect as possible, right? So that you get the hang of it, you get the practice of it, right? The more practice you do in picture perfect form, the more correct muscles are you going to engage, right? And the more correct muscles you engage on that particular exercise, the better your mind muscle connection will be, right? Now let's come down to the last point, which is it's an actionable step, right? Which is when you're performing any exercise, just close your eyes, right? Because if when you're in the gym, there are many moving objects, or that there are moving subjects that basically might draw your attention to, right? There's a moving fan, there's a movie lady that you might have a crush upon, you're watching or giving them a side eye. All of this distraction takes your focus away from the exercise, right? So if you're a beginner, if you don't have mind muscle connection really well, this is what my advice is. Close your eyes and then perform the exercise whilst imagining that that particular muscle is getting stretched and contracted. So let's say you're performing dumbbell curls for your bicep, right? Just do it with me. Don't do it with me, otherwise you'll not be able to see it, but just see this video in its entirety and then perform this exercise in the gym. So close your exercise, and by this by this time you've already know what a muscle looks like. If you don't know what a muscle looks like, just Google it, and you'll be able to have that vague idea what a muscle looks like. So just close your eyes and then try to imagine that your muscles are getting basically stretched when you're doing the eccentric portion of the exercise, and your muscles are getting contracted when you're doing the contraction portion of the exercise, right? As you imagine it, right, and you try to focus here, just like you meditate, maybe you're focusing on your breath, maybe you're focusing over here, maybe you're focusing on your navel, whatever that is. Just like you meditate, try to meditate on your muscle, right? Try to close your eyes and then try to imagine that your muscles are getting stretched and contracted as you do the exercise respectively, like as you do the movement respectively. As you do it, you will feel an instant mind and muscle connection in your particular muscle that you're training or targeting, right? So this is the last point. It really works, right? And it is really simple. If you think about it, it really works. It'll change how you approach mind muscle connection, how you approach building muscle, how much fatigue you're getting. It will change everything for you, right? If you get this one thing right, today, it's going to change the entire course of how you're going to build muscle in the upcoming months of your lifting career, right? So if I have to summarize it, pick the right exercises for you that you can perform like with a picture perfect form and with a really good technique, and you could go a good amount of repetition, right? Without feeling any kind of tweak or any kind of unnecessary uncomfortableness in your muscle or in your joints. So pick the right exercise for you, right? And also do the exercises with the picture perfect form, right? Because if you're ego lifting, if you're not doing it with picture perfect form, chances are you're doing it with the wrong form and you're engaging all of the other muscles that you're not supposed to engage, right? And the last point is, as you hit the gym today, doesn't matter whatever exercises that you're doing, try to close your eyes and then try to imagine that your muscles are getting stretched and contracted as you're doing the movements, right? If you do this, if you follow all of these things, you will see results in the gym. Peace.